States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
With the absence of our clerk this evening, I'm going to have the treasurer please call the roll.
Trustee McMullen?
Here.
Trustee O'Connell?
Here.
Trustee Petrucci?
Here.
Trustee Germain? Trustee Germain? Treasurer Horning here. Clerk Siofu absent. And Supervisor Fountain?
Here. Thank you. Item number 4 is approval of our agenda.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Trustee Petrucci, second by Treasurer Horning. Is there any discussion? Being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Call to the public. Would you like to speak anything, or would you like to wait until our meeting's over with, or?
Water reliability study.
Introduce myself. I'm Jeremy Strobus, Spalding Dedecker. Just here for
Oh, you're going to be on our agenda.
Yeah.
myself.
Very good. Well, welcome.
Nice to meet you.
Item number 6 is approval of our consent agenda.
Support. I move approval.
Second.
Motion by Trustee Germain, second by Treasurer Horning. Any discussion? Being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. We have 3 pending and new business items this evening. First one is site plan application 21-011, Heartland Senior Living Plan Development, the Pearl Development PD. We have asked Troy Langer, our planner, to join us this evening to go over where we are in the process and his recommendation from the Planning Commission. So Troy, you have the floor.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. This project is a planned development. The plan development process is probably easiest to understand it as a 3-step process. The first part of that is conceptual, where the applicant would present a conceptual idea, and there's no formal decision at the conceptual review, and that conceptual idea goes to the Planning Commission, where there's no formal decision, just comments, and then it also goes to the board. This project has gone through that. The next phase is the preliminary review, which is a more detailed site plan review. And in this case, it's a very detailed site plan review. And again, this project has gone through that at both the Planning Commission and the Township Board. And then the last phase is the final part of the PD, where you put together your master deed documents, your plan development, or any cross-access agreements. And that's where this is at. There is no master deed. This is not a condominium type project. This is a 146 unit senior independent living congregate care facility. And it's at the final PD stage. There's really no more site plan issues to look at with this. We're looking at their plan development agreement, which essentially allows or outlines what the uses are that would be permitted, such as the apartments for seniors. It also allows maybe a medical office or a barber shop or a beautician that would be associated with the care facility. There's a few other uses, maybe a bank. If it's associated, all of it has to be associated with this facility. And then last thing we're working on is a cross-access agreement to the west to connect to that property. The property owner to the west has not yet agreed to that, but we've got the documents ready to go. So when they do something on their project, we will have a discussion with them about connecting to this property. So with that, the Planning Commission has recommended approval of the final PD. There is a resolution that is in your packet that would be part of this, and I'll be available to answer any questions you might have. Oh, the applicant is not here. They had a sudden last-minute change, and they could not. They're from Ohio. They could not make it to tonight's meeting.
This was approved by the planning commission.
Yep.
I'm just trying to find what page that resolution is on. Do you have that?
30.
30? I went to the wrong side of it. Any questions for Troy from the board?
What happens, Troy, if the neighbor next door does not allow the drive-through? I know drive-throughs are very important. I mean, a good example of a bad drive-through is where you go to Costco's up in Green Oak. You can't get from one area to the other without going out on the main street, and it's dangerous to do that. So I understand how important it is, but what happens if they don't agree to it?
So, and that's somewhat what's going on right here. The neighbor to the west was requesting this applicant to repave the entire parking lot, had some fairly extravagant requests, and we of course told Pearl they're not required to do that. There is a negotiation between those two property owners that occurs, but they're not obligated to repair their whole property. And if they elect not to sign it, one thing we can do very well, being a township, is we can wait. We can wait for them, and when they come forward with a project, when they want to renovate on their site, when they want to do an addition, we'll have in our file that they need to now pay to connect to this. So Pearl will build it up close to the property line. We'll have them sign off on the cross-access agreement, and we'll just wait for that property owner, and when they do something, we'll finish it off. They could get it for free right now because Pearl could build it right to their parking lot and would do so, and is offered to do so at their own cost. But right now, they can only go up to or next to the property line, and we'll just wait.
The other thing I just want to mention is that this is for the public to know that this is a senior living center. It's more of a senior apartment complex. It is not a nursing home. It's not an assisted living home. They have a nurse on staff. They have doctors. They have all the amenities that a senior may need, housekeeping, you have it, but it's on an all a la carte basis. So that would be a tremendous help for a lot of seniors who could still do a lot of those things and not have to pay for it. And it's a good project, I think, for Heartland Township.
Other questions?
I have a question. Troy, in your memo, you identified a number of items that they must adhere to, conditions with our approval. Have they agreed to all of those, and which do you think are the most critical ones?
They've agreed to all of them. I don't know that I would say, we had a neighbor to the east, oddly enough, there's a single-family home right on M59 that's kind of between this property and the park property. He attended the public hearing at the Planning Commission. Wasn't necessarily an objection to the project, just wanted to be screened, and so Pearl's agreed. I say the word Pearl, that's the name of the applicant. They've agreed to install some trees there, so we'll have a revised landscape plan to accommodate that. There's some other minor changes to the landscape plan. Probably the main one, and Pearl is willing to do it, but they'll need municipal water. That's somewhat out of their control, and in the event that municipal water is not available to this project, then essentially this project will have to come back to the Planning Commission with an approved alternate source of water. Now, Pearl has already indicated to us if they don't have municipal water, they just can't do the project. So I'm not sure if that condition would even be valid. Does that help answer your questions?
Yes.
So Troy, I'm glad you're here because you can help me with, do we have to, we have the resolution that turns it into the PD.
Yeah.
Is that the only thing that we have to do, or do we have to do the agreement as well?
So if you approve the resolution, you're effectively approving the PD
Okay.
agreement, as well as there's some conditions that are as part of that resolution a little further back that some of the conditions, it's on the second page of the resolution. I don't know what page it is in your packet.
It's on
but-
page 65 and 66.
So by approving that, I put in a motion to approve the resolution as it's attached, and that would just include all of those items.
Any other questions by the board? If there are none, I'll entertain a motion for the resolution.
I'll move to approve site plan application number 21-011 as outlined in the staff memorandum and resolution, both dated July 14th, 2021.
I'll second.
Motion by Treasurer Horning, second by Trustee Petrucci. Any other discussion? Being none, I'll have the treasurer please call the roll.
Supervisor Fountain?
Yes.
Clerk Siofu, absent. Treasurer Horning, yes. Trustee Germain?
Yes.
Trustee McMullen?
Yes.
Trustee O'Connell?
Yes.
Trustee Petrucci?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Troy, thank you very much for coming again tonight. Thank you. You can, you only might want to wait a few minutes, but,
I'll be right back. I need to shut my window.
uh-oh. We'll take a brief recess.
You can put his windows up. Too late now.
Oh, I gotta let,
Oh, gee,
Gotta let him
go
in.
out there.
Oh, yeah, it did shut. Sometimes it stays open, but
Who are those people?
There with Spalding.
I can't believe you didn't notice it was.
Well, maybe he left it cracked,
Oh,
but not anticipating
the flood,
yeah,
another
a
flood.
typhoon coming through.
Spalding's out of Novi, so they just figured they'd stop in and introduce themselves.
He went the other way.
And you were trying to get house, and it was a shorter distance.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
You didn't have these guys come up for this?
yeah. If you folks would like to come up. Next, we'll have our water reliability study. We have our guests here this evening. This is being recorded, and so if the microphone does it have a blue dot on it?
It does.
Okay, so that's good. Troy, I'm going to have you lead us off with what we're doing next year.
Troy?
That's fine.
Oh,
No, you're good.
sorry.
No problem, Larry. Thank you. The water reliability study is required by the state of Michigan on a 5-year basis. Every 5 years, we have to conduct a water reliability study. Our Heartland's last water reliability study was conducted in 2015. And we actually asked for a slight extension from the state of Michigan, knowing our water expansion project is on the horizon. But because that water expansion system has been delayed because of developer anomalies, we'll say, they've asked us to kind of move forward with that. We don't want to get too far out, and we certainly don't want to ask for another extension. So based on our last study, as I've discussed in the prior meeting, we're exploring other firms to look into our water reliability study. And Spalding to Decker has historically been the second place in our QBS process, where we interview multiple engineering firms. We've done it 3 times. At this point, they have developed a proposal, and both Mike Luce and I are recommending moving forward with Spalding to Decker to perform our water reliability study, which will be good for the next 5 years. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions, but I also want to give Jeremy a moment here to introduce himself, introduce his firm, and Thank you for coming out this evening.
Absolutely, thank you. I'm Jeremy Schroed from Spalding Dedecker, and I'm going to be the point contact on this. We've been around since 1954, worked for a number of communities in the area, done quite a few of these water reliability studies for regional agencies, local communities, townships, cities, et cetera. So we're excited to be here and excited to work with you all.
And as I said, this will be finalized hopefully within 6 months or so and actually be implemented. We're hoping to get a 2022 rating to give us another 5 years, but we'll see how the state accepts our plan. So, any questions on that?
Yeah, what do you do? What does it do? What do you do?
It's a number of things. Number one, we're looking at the existing conditions model. So the conditions model was updated about 5 years ago. Since then, you've built water mains through developments. You've built water mains through a number of other initiatives. So this will be looking at updating that. So we're looking at what is the current pressures, what are the outflows from your system as they exist today. And then we're putting together a 5 and a 20-year projection based on what do we know is coming down the pipeline from development, what do we know is coming down the pipeline for future expansion, or just in general historical trends in population. Is population going up 1%, 2%, et cetera.
So it wouldn't be unusual that you come up with, in your 20-year projection, that we may need another water tower.
Right, yeah, that's not uncommon, or a booster station, or a PRV, et cetera.
And I should add, we also work with the fire department on this, and for the folks at home, this also helps with our ISO rating, which is our insurance ratings throughout the community. So working with the fire department and fire authority, we go through, we analyze this data. As more development comes on board, we ensure that our fire service is still sustainable throughout the community. So it's beneficial, even though it is mandated by the state, it does certainly have some benefit to our community.
Thank you. Any other board members have questions? If there's no further questions, I'll entertain a motion for the water reliability study and Bob and Mike's recommendation.
I move to approve Spalding Dedecker to perform a current water reliability study for the Heartland Township water system in the amount not to exceed $22,000, including the noted budget amendment.
Second.
Motion by trustee Jermaine, second by trustee O'Connell. Any other discussion? Being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, next item, 7C, is Dunham Road Crosswalk. Thank you. Mike, would this be in your wheelhouse?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Supervisor Fountain. So what you guys have here before you is essentially when the park was put into place, Settlers Park, excuse me. This is using the newly acquired property to create a crosswalk at Dunham Road. The crosswalk is going to remove a section of the existing pathway that exits onto Dunham Road currently. We're going to move that section back and kind of wind the pathway over to the newly acquired property with knowing that the Livingston County Road Commission is going to require us to have a crosswalk that's lit and is at an intersection. It can't dump out at a driveway. So coming out at Hidden Creek Drive is our best case scenario at this point. With the acquired property, it gives us the ability to do that. And this is also kind of pushing the pathway out of the current area and dumping it into Dunham Road, which gives us the ability for the crosswalk. This also will be constructed the exact same way as the current pathway that's currently in place. At the park, a 4-inch aggregate base with a 4-inch asphalt base, leaving with a 10-foot wide pathway with accessibility for an emergency vehicle if necessary at some way into our park. And the idea of this is that Public Works at this point is comfortable taking on this task of kind of overseeing the project, and making it come to fruition at this point. So I'm happy to answer any questions any of you may have.
And I just want to add that one of the key components was when we originally bought that property, it was to have a conforming, safer actual crosswalk.
Yes.
As you know, right now, we're not allowed to stripe that, put lights up because of sight distance requirements.
Right.
So that can be met here, but in addition, if you look at our parks master plan that we've done, there's a thought process of someday we'll have a parking lot, an additional parking lot. I don't know, as our park grows, it might be 5-year, 10, 20-year, whatever it may be. We're actually going to shift and actually remove this whole segment, basically, of pathway. It's not just to scoot it over. We're doing some preventive maintenance of let's shift the whole pathway over and make room for when that parking lot, if it ever comes to fruition, we don't have to tear this up again. So that's why you see the cost increase so high, is because we've basically tripled the length of the pathway that has to be removed and installed versus what would just shift it over. The big component of this is tree removal. There's significant tree removal on the new portion because while the roadway meets sight distance, if you step 10 feet off the road and look in either direction, there's trees. So we have to definitely clear those. This has been vetted by the Park Site Plan Committee, and they did inquire about the possibility of, is there any value in the lumber? And we actually met with the local contractor who performs that type of service, and they indicated that the trees are just not, there might be 1 or 2 that are valuable out of the whole mix, and it's more time consuming and cumbersome to get in there. We still may call them and say, hey, they're down if you want them. But as far as generating revenue from the trees we're going to remove, they are not. It's what's considered kind of scrub trees, if you will. They're not desirable for planking or making boards or running through the mill. So there is a significant amount of tree removal in this. This does include a conforming pathway, and I'm going to jump in a little bit ahead of into my manager's report, but this has already opened the conversations with Heartland Consolidated Schools with building a connector to their new project that's supposed to start next year. So I've been in talks with them, and we have a meeting scheduled to, the schools have offered up their contractor that's doing their, the new renovations through the bond work. The contractor's actually going to attend, and we're going to sit down and figure out how to connect these two. So we are now able to do that with a conforming crosswalk. So I just wanted to add those facts in there. And again, we could certainly come back and do, a more detailed itemized bid. The problem is we're running up against the clock, and these contractors, there's multiple contractors here. And we've done it in the past historically where we've had the Public Works Department act, or the director act as the general contractor. It's a proven successful model. That's what we're recommending in order to get this completed this year. So I don't want anybody to get their hopes up. There's a slight possibility this would be in within 2 weeks of school starting, within 2 weeks after school starts. So we're definitely have an aggressive target.
Yeah.
So my question is that since you're moving it over and doing all this extensive work, when we go for the parking lot, we have to have a cut into the road.
Yes, that is correct.
This will allow for that? We're going to have enough distance off the corner to do that?
Yes, and it would basically be where Hidden Creek is, that dirt gravel drive across the street. We're shuffling that crosswalk just to the west. Our parking lot entrance would be there and kind of come in and curve, just like here at Settlers.
We won't have any issues with the county or...
No, in fact, we've kind of gave them a little heads up that, this is part of our master plan. Other than road design, they may say, hey, you're going to re-pour this curb and you're going to do an acceleration deceleration lane. The actual location is what we're gearing up for, so we don't have to move the path again.
So that's my first question. My second question is this crossway going to have a button to push, similar to what we have on Heartland Road?
Yep.
Yes. It'll be exactly like that. Unfortunately, the road commission does not permit timed crosswalk lights. The other option would be a beam, where if a child breaks a beam, however, it's not recommended in parks because every animal that comes up and climbs up that post will trip the beam and then send the sensors off. So the push button is our only option.
It's just similar to what we have.
Exact, same exact model and everything.
Or Creek.
So
Okay.
we'll have that kind of uniform every time you come to one of our crosswalks. It'll have the same button.
I've been told by many parents that when the York Creek one is pushed, if the sun is a certain way, you can't see it.
Gotcha.
The lighting is not good. Can't see it. So I just thought I'd pass that on to you.
Okay.
Since you mentioned York.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay.
My question is, the existing curb cut, does that get removed and then you put another,
Correct.
and then
We're going
continue it on the
to,
same
we'll have
way?
to re-pour that,
Yeah.
just that section.
Okay.
That is included in this.
Is that under the restoration portion?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else have any questions?
I have two questions. One's germane to the subject and one is not. The first question is really more of a comment, but for those people who may be watching by television, can you pull up an aerial photograph and explain this easier for them? And then while you're doing that, my second question is, we're going to have a pretty significant 1,000-foot or so addition to the park walkway with this construction. And what is the condition of the balance of the asphalt in the park? And do we need to start planning for some maintenance on the rest of the walkways with, sealing or any other activities like that? Because to my knowledge, we haven't done very little of that so far.
Correct.
So we have done some crack sealing.
Yeah.
We do crack sealing from time to time on the park. And ironically, it's been included in the CIP this year for the seal coating. What we're trying to do is Fire Station 62 and up off Parshallville Road also needs the seal coating, so we're bidding them together. Collectively, what we're trying to do is there's a cooperative bid process through many different communities and other DPWs that we're part of. So once those figures come in, we'll find out. We will most likely be back here within the next 2 meetings for the seal coating process.
Okay.
Since you got this up, can you point your arrow to kind of show what
Absolutely.
you were talking about?
So where you see this is the existing path, most likely we're coming back to this curve here, and we're going to curve here and then straight through these trees. This is where the crosswalk will actually cross. This will be the new driveway entrance, which will come in and then go to all this area, which would then be used for future parking. One of the key factors is when we do another parking lot, we don't ever want the path to unnecessarily cross the parking lot. So
Right.
this keeps it totally separate. But originally it was, the thought process was maybe we'll come here closer to the road and just bend it and kind of cross there. Shuffling it back, cutting it way back, this is approximately 550 feet. We're going to shift this, kind of bend this curve, so it's a natural flow. We don't want 90-degree turns or anything like that, and we'll make it look like that was the original intention. So the actual crosswalk here, this does not necessarily portray the level of trees that we have to remove. I'm going to try and show it here for the folks at home. This is what we have to go through, and you can see the sight distance that we talk about. We're going to have to clear some of this out. So this is directly across. This will be pretty much right here where the crosswalk comes in. So this is what we're going to have to kind of clear. Now we're going to minimize that. Our goal is to save as many trees as we can, but we also need to make sure that the trees don't undermine the new pathway and buckle the asphalt.
Yep.
So we figure, unfortunately, it's a 30 to 40 foot swath for a 10-foot path, but we will save as much as we can. Our goal is not to necessarily go in there and wipe it out and make it a field. We have plenty of field out there.
But are you clearing enough for our potential driveway while you're taking out trees?
Yep.
So that's being.
We're definitely gonna, because if there's one thing I can tell you is nothing's gonna be cheaper in the
Right.
future with this stuff. We're already seeing that. When we started getting quotes 3 months ago, costs have already continued to creep up, especially asphalt. And that's even if you can get on somebody's list. So we're confident we can have this done. It's going to take a lot of managing by Director Luce, but I'll be there to help him as needed, and we can collectively get this project completed.
Now, I noticed
Question two.
a couple things. There were several power lines through where the proposed future parking lot is. Is that going to be a problem?
Let me zoom out of here. Oop. This one? Isn't? All right, so the wires, they come through right here. You can kind of see them.
Right.
We will not have hold on, sorry.
They're all overhead.
So they're all overhead. What we're gonna do is the pathway will cut in between the wires, so there will be no issue. The new driveway, one of the things is as soon as we come in across from Hidden Creek, we're gonna bend and go over. So that'll open it up basically into this area.
Okay.
It'll be just like Settlers. In fact, Settlers Park actually has a pole right in the middle, but we put the bumper blocks by it.
Right.
So we'll mimic that. Most likely it'll be a gravel parking lot similar to that. So
Here, I do have one concern. Maybe,
Sure.
Maybe you can answer it. I don't mind spending the money to do this. I think it's important. That's why we bought the property. But if you look at Dunham Road on the north side, are we going to have a crosswalk now going to nothing? And then how difficult is it going to be to get a sidewalk over to the schools? Don't we have to go through all the people that own all those properties?
well, ironically, that's the good news. If we cross here,
Schools.
we're on the school property.
School.
Oh,
And that's, I kind of already led into it a little bit. Chuck Hughes and I had a discussion this morning about getting his contractor plugged in. Mike Luce and I are going to meet with the school administration and their contractor. Their goal is they plan on doing their new complex in this area.
It's actually started the
I'm sorry, this one here.
just north of there. Yep.
what are they building?
What I can tell you is what they're not building. There was originally planned a track, and it's just not, it's cost prohibitive. It's not my story to tell, but what I can tell you is they want to convert that to somehow, how do we get a walking path to Settlers Park? So there's an opportunity for us to partner on that. I don't want to miss that opportunity. What I can tell you is it most likely won't happen this year. So in short term, yes, we're going to put a landing on the other side. So it's not just dumping you on the grass. We'll have a concrete landing with truncated domes, which are the bumps there for ADA compliance. At that point, that'll be the target for where we're going to tie the schools in.
That's
And
good.
we hope to
As
do
long as
that
I know
over.
that we're not going to have issues with homeowners regarding a sidewalk.
No. And fortunately, we have the Livingston County right-of-way. Is actually, the south side was more challenging.
Okay.
If you were to look at the right-of-way, it actually favors the north. And that's why this sidewalk could never occur on the south side, because of exactly what you said. We would have to acquire private easements.
Yep.
And your other question, Trustee Germain, I apologize.
I think you answered it. It was about the maintenance or the other portions of
Oh,
the
the second
sidewalk.
portion, yeah.
So you didn't even have to ask it?
He did ask it.
Oh, okay. Oh, gotcha. It's like,
But I do have a third question, if I can.
Yeah.
I'm fully supportive of this project, but I'm just curious from a trustee's point of view. I understand we're going to save money by managing it in-house, but how do you account for Mike's time, and does he allocate that for parks or
yes.
water and sewer or whatever?
No, it's funny you mentioned that, and a little kind of background information. All the public works, including Mike Lewis, all the public works staff is funded from the water fund. Every hour they spend outside of water gets billed. So if he spends 6 hours in parks for some reason, every quarter we take all the staff members and we generate a bill to the parks. And that's what's often referred to, a line item of contracted services. And parks will pay the water department back. This year, you're going to see it potentially with the cemetery, because we took over cemetery mowing. That's the guys, but the water department funds them at the beginning of the year, and then they get reimbursed throughout the year, 4 times a year on a quarterly basis. And that's all public works staff. And that goes even as far as the trucks. We use MDOT Schedule C rate of, rental rates for that. So,
Okay.
Very good. If there's no other questions, I'll entertain a motion for the Dunham Road Crosswalk.
Can you go back to the,
oh, sorry, yeah.
I'll recommend that we approve the Dunham Road Crosswalk construction for amount not to exceed $137,000, $150, along with the corresponding budget amendment, and allow the Public Works Director to act on behalf of the township for decisions related to the project.
I'll support that.
Motion by trustee Germain, second by trustee Petrucci. Joe, did you have a question? Did you have a question?
No, he already answered it.
Oh, okay. If there's nothing else, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Bob, for that.
Thank you.
Board reports. Tonight we start with Treasurer Horning.
Well, I can't say enough about the farmer's market this year. Every booth is sold out again. We have a waiting list for people that want to be involved in it. We have 35 vendors. We have gave away ice cream. We have a food truck guy now with barbecue and hamburgers and hot dogs. It's just a vibrant place this year. We had Christmas in July last Saturday. Little kids came and made ornaments. We did over 100 ornaments at the booth. Gave away 120 ice creams to all ages. The senior center was there doing music all day, ukulele, Christmas carols, piped in music. It was just so much fun. Blow up Christmas things, just really a great place to go. You guys should come one Saturday. It's 9 to 2 at Rural King.
Thank you. Trustee Germain?
I have no report.
Trustee O'Connell?
No report.
Trustee McMullen?
No report.
Trustee Petrucci?
The other thing I want to mention is that the Heartland Teen Center's golf outing was moved to October 10th.
Yep.
We moved it, why did we move? Oh, all the water, the rain. So, mark your calendar for October the 10th, and that's when we're going to have the golf outing. And all the sponsors, we thank them for sending the money in, and where they're going to be recognized in October for sure. So that's all I have.
Thank you. At our last meeting, we talked, that was when we had Mayberry here, I believe was our last meeting. Talked with MDOT that there was an upcoming meeting. We did meet with them, and they are going to go back and re-look at that entire intersection. Bob, is there anything else you want to add on that?
No, I just wanted to say I applaud them for actually taking our voice into consideration, and I'm happy to report that they are going to revise the whole entire process and look at this with a fresh set of eyes. There's a lot of new members over there, and they understood our concerns. They listened to us, and so I'm excited to hopefully bring back an update with an updated study. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, and Troy was on, Mike was on, and Bob and I, and they requested to have Mayberry's updated plan. So the last time they looked at that intersection was, I think he said 2017.
2017 was,
So with this now having the preliminary site plan, I think they seem to be very concerned that.
Yeah, if anything, I would say they were a little surprised when we kind of got on there. And what's more shocking was they didn't realize that this last site plan was 2017, nor did they know that Pleasant Valley, our goal is to pave that. And it was, that was really kind of eye-opening to them. So again, I applaud them for listening to us and actually putting a pin in moving forward without redoing the whole study, so.
Yep. And then I was going to have Bob mention this, but our Partners in Progress, where all of our boards get together, we're going to have a meeting August 25th at Settlers Park. I believe it's at 6:30.
At 6:30 at the pavilion. We have the pavilion reserved. Stay tuned, I'll actually have a formal invite coming out here shortly.
Right. So we meet typically twice a year, I believe, or was it once a year?
We've tried to, and unfortunately COVID really put a damper right before that thing could take off, the meeting. But at this point in time, if we can get one meeting a year under our belt, the goal will be to ultimately meet twice a year.
Yeah, I think their goals were to have one that was more of a business kind of meeting, and then the other one more of a social kind of thing. So
Is this more of the social one?
sounds like it.
This will be definitely more of the social one. What we envision is just kind of a brief update and everybody getting to know each other. All too often we hear about each other, we read about each other, but we don't make enough face-to-face contact. So this is a conscious effort to get the groups together.
Bring your bicycle. Go through that little
Covered wagon.
the covered wagon. I have nothing else. Anybody else have
What was the
anything?
date again?
August 25th. I believe it's a Wednesday.
It is.
If there's nothing else, we'll take a brief recess and then we'll go through our manager's report and ordinance enforcement update. We'll take a brief recess.